One of the world's best boxers to ever grace the ring has officially retired from pro boxing. American-Mexican boxing legend Mikey Garcia has decided to call it quits after a Hall of Fame career that may never be matched again in the modern era. And in today's video, we are going to look at what caused him to come to this decision and take a look back at his legendary career. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. First up, the news broke via his Instagram. Of course, people were not totally surprised to hear that Mikey Garcia was ready to call it quits on his career, as he has been boxing in a professional environment since 2006. But the way in which the news broke was probably not the way he wanted it to go down. In late June of 2022, Mikey Garcia changed his Instagram bio to read "Retired World Champ" instead of "Former World Champ," which led people to believe that he had decided to hang up his gloves for good. However, some people were skeptical, as sometimes handlers of high-profile athletes and celebrity Instagram accounts end up releasing news prematurely. However, at the time of this recording, it is clear that his decision, while not officially announced in a press conference or announcement by the boxer himself, is all but confirmed, as all of his information pages on sites like Wikipedia and boxing news sites all read "former pro boxer" or have "retired" as his status. So that more than likely points to this being the truth. Mikey Garcia has retired from pro boxing. If you still don't believe everything saying that he has retired, just think about what he has stood for in his career. Mikey Garcia has always been an advocate for athlete health and taking care of the athletes while they are competing and after they are done. Garcia even attended a summit at the Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health way back in 2014 to show his support for finding ways to limit the amount of brain issues that come with competing in a sport such as boxing. It seems like Garcia is prioritizing his own health and is deciding to call it quits before ending up suffering an extreme injury. I mean, not to rag on the guy, but he is 34 years old, which is not exactly the age in which a boxer is in his prime. Not only that, but has he not already had an impressive enough career to be able to retire? I mean, he is a no-question Hall of Fame athlete and will be remembered for years to come. And Garcia is well within his rights to call it quits. I guess I have to preface this by saying that it doesn't matter what we as fans think. If Mikey wants to retire, that is his right and his decision alone. It does not matter what the record boom says or how many belts he held. He has the right to retire if that is what he wants to do. But he does have the advantage of being able to point at the record book as a reason to walk away from the sport. I mean, for starters, he has a record of 40-2. Listen to that again, 40 wins and only 2 losses. The man was literally undefeated from 2006 until 2019 when he suffered his first loss. But to have been undefeated for so long definitely puts you in the conversation for best of all time. Not only that, but he may be the best knockout artist of all time, as he had 30 of his 40 wins earned via knockout and the other 10 decided via decision, and both of his losses were from decision, meaning that he literally never got knocked out in his entire career. A lot of great fighters cannot say the same thing. Also, are we not going to talk about the sheer volume of titles this man held? I mean, come on, he pretty much had every belt a man of his size could possibly hold. He had the featherweight, super featherweight, light and super lightweight titles in his career, which is insane to think about. Also, he did challenge for a welterweight belt, but suffered his first ever career loss instead. So maybe we just won't talk about that one. I mean, even with 2 losses, Garcia will still without a doubt go down as one of the best boxers to ever do it. Now, where it all began. Garcia began boxing at a very early age and showed signs of dominance early on in his training. Garcia did have a bit of a leg up when it comes to training, as his father was a trainer to former pro boxer Sandor Vargas. Mikey's brother Roberto was a pro boxer as well, and even his other brother Daniel also was a boxer and a boxing trainer. So it is easy to see that this is a boxing family and that boxing came quite easy to Garcia and his family. Mikey trained with his father until he was ready to begin his amateur career at age 14. Mikey won 5 medals at 5 different national championships, including a bronze medal, 2 silver medals, and 2 gold medals. It was very clear to Mikey and his family that becoming a pro boxer was very much a possibility for him. Mikey discovered very quickly that his game was based around the fact that he had a deadly punching ability. So much so that he learned how to switch to southpaw mid-fight to give himself the ability to land brutal knockout punches with either hand, making it nearly impossible to defend him. Garcia built his game around knockouts rather than longevity and punch volume, as he knew that defending him would be such a challenge for most boxers that he would never have to go the distance in any fight if he had his way. And as you can see, that worked out pretty nicely for himself in the long run. As I mentioned before, he had well over 75% of his wins coming from knockouts in his pro career, and his knockout ability made him one of the most intriguing boxers to watch, which is one of the reasons he shot to superstardom. Next, his dominant pro career. Garcia began his pro career when he signed with Top Rank in 2006. This turned out to be just the beginning of something truly amazing, as this allowed him to flourish as a knockout artist. He had taken victories in all of his first 20 fights, but what was way more impressive is the fact that he won 17 of those 20 fights via knockout. Literally 85% of his first 20 wins came from knockouts, giving him an insane reputation as somebody that you truly did not want to mess with. He quickly proved that he was not to be messed with in any weight class, as he dominated pretty much every one he entered into. He was first in the featherweight division, where he claimed the USBA featherweight title, but of course, he could not stop there. He went on to beat Matt Remillard to claim the WBO's NABO featherweight title as well. His first real competitor came in the form of world #1 ranked featherweight fighter Orlando Salido. People were unsure as to who was going to win it, but it looked like the majority of boxing fans had their money on the vet Orlando Salido to take down the young buck Garcia. But the exact opposite happened, as Garcia dominated the fight from start to finish. Garcia actually knocked out Salido 4 times during the match, only to see him get back up all 4 times. The fight most likely would have been ended in a knockout by Garcia if the fight were to continue past the 8th round. However, in the 8th round, Salido's head accidentally made contact with Garcia's face, causing Garcia's nose to break. This caused the fight to be ended prematurely and for the fight to be decided through the scorecards, which of course all heavily reflected Garcia as the winner. Garcia became a 2-weight champion when he found himself fighting in the super featherweight division against Roman Martinez, who gave Garcia a run for his money. Early in the fight, Martinez knocked down Garcia, but it didn't matter. Garcia used that as motivation for the rest of the fight, eventually landing a huge blow that Martinez could not recover from. Garcia won the fight in the 8th round after landing 52 power punches in the last 3 rounds to Martinez's 8. Garcia continued to dominate in the featherweight and super featherweight divisions until he eventually took a 2-year hiatus from boxing, only to come back and face Elio Rojas in the light welterweight division. Garcia was forced to put on a few more pounds and face an opponent that is quite a bit bigger than usual, but it didn't throw off his game too much as he won the fight early on in the 5th round via knockout. Garcia became a 3-weight champion when he earned a title in the lightweight division against DAZN Boxing Show, but after all of his success, Garcia finally met his match in 2019 when he dared to take on a much larger competitor than himself. Errol Spence Jr. was the man that Garcia decided to take on, but many fans knew that the massive size difference would be too much for Garcia to handle, and that his dream of winning titles in yet another division would be the beginning of his downfall. And sure enough, they were right. Spence dominated Garcia and handed him his first ever loss in pro boxing. The fight was decided unanimously after 12 rounds, with Garcia failing to win a single round on all 3 scorecards. That's all we have for you guys today on the channel. Thank you all so much for watching.